friends! Oh, I'm so sorry for the delay. Basically, I really struggled to get on Facebook today. I don't know what's going on. I really don't. But I really struggled to get online. So sorry, I have been here for this one, but obviously didn't get online in time. Ready to do a podcast? Oh dear. So how are you doing, my beautiful artists? I hope you have a delightful weekend and you are ready to be inspired for this week. Okay, so what we're going to do today is I am using the fantastic bohemian arrow. Now this is on special today for only 24 hours, it's £5. So pop along to stampsbyme website, check out in categories, there's Imala, go and have a look at the stamp. Absolutely incredible, you're going to love it. So I'm going to do two different projects today with this. First one is going to be a card. I'm going to do some watercolouring, some background, some double inking over the top, and then some decoupage. So let's start with today. Let's turn it around. There we go. And you can see my brilliant Eureka, and I have just got a piece of craft sheet just over the top. So of course I can put some ink on here. So to start off, I'm going to be using my pickled raspberry and of course peacock feathers. Absolute favourite. Hi Roxy, are you alright sweetheart? The sound is bad. Right, take this out. Is that any better? Hi! Hi Karen! Is the sound better now? I hope so. Hi Katie Lou, hope you're doing really well as well. Sorry about the delay. Basically, if you didn't catch the beginning of the live, I couldn't get on Facebook, it just wouldn't load. I don't know what was happening. Hopefully the sound is better. Let's have a quick recap. Today we are using the beautiful bohemian arrow, which I love, absolutely love, and I do believe that the sound is like rain still. Any better? Hopefully the sound will improve. I hope. I have plugged my mic into the camera. Hello. Any better? Sounds much better. Yes, excellent. Right. Okay, so we're going to be using the bohemian feather. Hi Sarah. Hope it sounds super now, hon. Excellent, Tracy, my craft sister. Let's get on then. Right, okay, so bohemian arrow. It's that beautiful feather detail with the arrow. So it could be like, I don't know, like American Indian, or it could be quite sort of rustic, quite sort of hippie feel. There's a lot, not bad, thanks. Just got back from helping my brother move out. How nice, how lovely. Isn't it lovely to do lovely things for people? So let's get on with the stamping. I'm going to turn you around now. Now our sounds better and we are all sorted. Let's start. Craft sheet. I've got pickled raspberry, which I know is one of your favourites, Roxy, and peacock feathers. These are both, I just love these colours so much. They work so well and also quite bright. Let's ditch all the other colours. Let's just start going really bright this year. I just feel that this is what we need to do. So on my craft sheet here, I'm just gonna add a little bit of Distress Oxide. Now, I'm not being really finicky. Don't put the whole pad down like that, because otherwise you just get a square outline. Use an edge and add your colour that way. So now I'm coming in with the pickled raspberry, and you can see I'm just adding slices of colour. I don't want to get the blue on there as well, so just be aware of that. So once I've done that, now what I'm going to do is get my water spray. Hopefully you can see where I am. There we go. Water spray, and I'm just going to spray it. Of course, these are Distress Oxide, so of course we're using the water will help the colours blend. Now you can spray across, but it is kind of tricky, but then you get lovely little dots everywhere. So this is going to be my first layer of colour. So I've got watercolour 8x8, and I'm simply laying it in, just picking it up, taking that colour off. Now you'll see I've got quite a lot in one corner, so I'm just going to allow it to pour and then tilt again, tilt again. Now I'm going to dry this off and then we'll go in for our second layer. So this is a background, so just have fun with it. Just allow the colours to morph in together to create beautiful different little pools. Chase it with the heat gun, and then of course that will create lots and lots of different textures. Obviously this is watercolour card, so you can see that it's bending, but don't worry, we can straighten that right out after. Now I just sort of want it touch dry. I don't want it completely dry, because I still want to use that blending element of the water that I've sprayed on there to pick up the other colours. So I'm just making sure there's no excessive pools, shall we say. So that's our first layer. See how you can just bend it back. Now this time I'm going to put it in, pick it up. Put it in, pick it up. Just put it in and then pick it up. So that was 3 panels that I added there, doing the different colours. So again, dry it off. I think this is one of my favourite styles of background work. It's just so beautiful. And also it's super simple. If you've not tried creating your own backgrounds, have a go. It's so much fun. It really is. So again, I'm just drying off. Just tap off if you've got big drips. Right, now I'm coming back into this again, but this time I'm tapping over. So I'm just picking up as much as that excess colour and water that we put on there again. And see, by tapping you get a lot more drops of colour. Dry again. I just wanted to show you how simple it is to create the backgrounds that I use, especially for Imala, because you don't need a lot. The stamps are so incredible, the size, the imagery, that you really don't need much. So to do a creative background makes a really big difference. And also, it is so much fun. So now I've just noticed, look here, I've still got white bit here, little bit I need a pink in there. So I'll just pick up that pinky bit. Then I'm going to go in with that bottom layer that still had quite a bit of white, just like so. Again, heat set. Lovely. So now with this, the easiest way to clean it is give it a good old spray with water. Let it pour where it needs to. Just bend it around just so it picks up all that colour off your mat. Take a sheet of watercolour cardstock, press it down on the top, leave it to a side. So if you leave that to a side now, once that's dry, you will have all that ink completely off, which is fabulous. So now we're going to come back to our brilliant background. I'm just going to carry on finishing drying. I've just seen a few little areas around that edge. There we go. So we're going to do some different style of stamping on here. First, I'm going to use that crackle. Oh, I love this one. This is a beaut, absolute beaut. Now, you don't have to use the whole of the stamp if you don't want to, but I'm just going to create a panel in the centre there. So I'm just going to pick that up now, and I'm going to be stamping with my Distress Oxide Peacock Feathers just over the top. Now this crackle, if you didn't get this when we brought this out, it is phenomenal. One, because of its size, because it's A5, but also It's so brilliant for like embossing on decorative paper. It's just clear, it's crisp, it's just so much going on, and it creates texture, which is fabulous. So I'm just giving that a good old stamp down in the green. So I'm just going to move that away now, and I'm going to grab my bohemian feather, the star of the show, shall we say, and I'm just going to place my magnet there. So I'm just going to layer very easily. First of all, pick up my bohemian feather, and I'm going pickled raspberry straight over the top, on the top. So don't think that it always has to be just black outlines, black layers. Think about shadow stamping behind. That's what I'm going to be doing with this, because I'm going to set it with water and then dry it as a shadow stamp. So now I've done this, I'm not going to take the ink off of there straight away, but I'm just going to spray some water over it. Now what this does is two different things. One, it creates lots of different pools of that beautiful distress oxide. It also sets the imagery that we've just stamped to the back. It's not as vibrant, and also you get that beautiful bleed off it as well. So just chase that away. And I love the way the green and the pink goes together to make this luscious, almost like stormy purple. Absolute gorgeous. Lovely. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reposition that stamp, because I just slightly moved it, which is not good. So I'm just going to reposition that stamp into the place where I want it, making sure I am exact, picking it up again. And now what I'm going to do is use my black VersaFine. So I'm not taking off the pink that is on there, I'm just overlaying it with the black. So load up that stamp. Beautiful. And we shall simply just stamp over the top. You've got all that beautiful detail on the feathers. Absolutely stunning. Let me check if I'm happy. Oh yeah, I am happy. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a piece of scrap paper, because I'm going to do a little bit of stenciling on here as well. So I will just use a piece of paper. Here we go. And I will pick up a little bit, just clean my brush off, of that pickled raspberry again. So just picking it up lightly, a little bit around the edge, just to pull that colour in and frame your work. And that is basically what you are doing by adding a deeper colour around the edge. So we just rotate a little bit more around the edge. Nearly there. Beaut. Okay, so now I'm going to take a stencil, and I was looking at my stencil. What did I do with them? Oh, I put them down here. Excuse me. I was looking at my stencil. Oh, where's my favourite stencil? Here it is. Stamps by Me stencil. Absolutely gorgeous, this one. Let me just clean it. Obviously, I've been very naughty and I haven't even cleaned it since I last used it. That's no good at all, is it? So there we go. And I'm just going to add some of these little spots, but I'm going to pick it up with the peacock feather this time. So just a few of these little spots on the edges. Just a little bit, not too much. Perfect. So now what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to, just that little bit of waste I've got on there, I'm just going to incorporate that as well. Now I'm going to come over to the decoration, so I'm just going to pop that to a side. And what I've done is I've pre-stamped and I've cut into these already. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a little bit of ink, not too much, and I'm just going to do the edges. You don't really need to do the whole of it because we're folding it and sculpting it. You don't see everything, and then what it does also is it gives it a bit of light in there as well, because we've used quite a lot of colour. So as you can see, I'm just going around adding that little bit of ink to the edge, and I'm going to show you also how to cut into these feathers. So I'm just going to add a little bit of ink. There we go. Then you're going to take your scissors, and you don't have to follow the lines if you don't want to. You can just cut directly in to the centre, but be careful with it because obviously the middle, where that's your main folding point, will become quite fragile. So just be gentle with it because otherwise it could tear. So I'm just coming down. Then what you do is you fold it in half, and then you just sort of whisper all those feathers up. Can you see that? And you just make it look realistic. So with these ones again, I'm just going to squish them and make them look a bit more feathery, shall we say. There we go. I'm going to add a little bit of pink now, just to the actual bow feather on this edge here, and a little bit just on the arrowhead as well. Not too much, just a little tad. And also what I've been using is some brilliant stamps and dies from Pretty Penny. I'm really into these at the moment. These are fabulous. You get the coordinating die, the stamp, and they just look fantastic. It really does. So I'm just adding a little touch of that raspberry. Now look at this as well that's left behind. Never throw this away. That's great for die cutting. So now I'm just going to grab my sentiment. Again, this is a beautiful one, again by Pretty Penny, sister company of Imala. And then I'm also going to grab that peacock feather. So I've done the pink just at the top. I'm not actually going to do the centre, but now I'm just going to add that little touch of peacock feather around there. So let's get assembling. So base card all the way over there. So I'm just going to use my tape runner until it runs out. That is annoying. There we go. They always run out and you need them. There we go. Right, so let's move that bit of card out of the way. Straight onto my 8x8 card. So I'm going straight on to the card. Let's have a look at that. Yep, perfect. And then I'm going to add my sentiment. Now my sentiment just works perfect with this because it says let's find some amazing places to get lost, and I just felt that it was quite inspiring to go with this beautiful stamp of the Bohemian. Right, I'm just looking for my fine pads. Here we go. And I'm simply going to adhere them, one on the tail there, and then one on the arrow. Then we are just layering, and of course that can be squished up and curled. There we go. And now we will start adding our feathers. So again, just use a foam pad on that central panel that we used. Let's have a look. Is that one? I think so. And we have the smaller one. Perfect. Smaller still. Also, these make fabulous, brilliant dimensional backgrounds as well. Just add them as embellishments. Fabulous. Because I mean, they could be like tropical leaves as well. That's what I was thinking when I was creating a background yesterday, actually. I was thinking to myself, these could be tropical leaves. Right, and the final little baby one at the edge there. Now my flowers, you can do these many ways. You can either cut into them, if that's what you prefer, or you can just sculpt them as they are. I'm just going to cut into this one and this larger one. Now when you're sculpting, you can sculpt them with a embossing, of course you can, but look how easy they are just to pick up them segments, hold it at the base and then just curl it. Can you see that? Very, very easy. It's super simple. So now just adding that on with a foam pad, and I'm going straight in the middle just above them beautiful feathers. So my next one, now this one I'm slightly going to hide behind there. Oh, magnet. Now this one you can cut right down into that centre panel, then just sculpt it up like a little umbrella. Foam pad, and I'm just going to pop that one just behind. Got my sentiment here again. And I'm just going to connect it just over, just there. There we go, friends. Hiya! It's not yours, Sue. What's going on? What have I missed? Let me check. So pretty. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, do you want to have a good look at it? Here we go. There we go. So you've got that beautiful 3D bohemian arrow sentiment and that background. We started with a plain piece of paper. It's so easy, isn't it? A bit blurry, so I'll catch up later. Oh, sorry, Marion, I wonder what that is. Right, next project. Should we do another one with this? Okay. I will be taking close-ups as well, so you can have a good look at that later. This one is, I don't know, I'd explain it probably as tricky stamping, which basically means you're combining different stamps together to create your final image. Very pretty. Thank you, sweetie. They're so incredibly kind. Right. So let's have a look. What have we got here? So, oh yes. Let's move on to, so again, I've gone for my favourite size. Just stick to your favourite size. If you love 8x8s, just use 8x8s. If you love 6x6, just use 6x6. It's just, we all have our favourite size of card, and I think sometimes, you know, we should think outside our boundaries, but also it's a comfort zone, isn't it? You know the size, you know how you're going to fill it, you know the proportions, you know where things work. So thank you for all your beautiful comments about that card. Actually, everyone that comments on here, would you like to win that? Maybe I'll send them out at the end of the week if you want. So if you comment, I'll pick someone and I'll send the projects out. This one, tricky stamping. The first thing we are going to need, which I haven't got here, is a scrap piece of paper. So this is, I'd probably say 8 in length by about 4.5. It's my scrap for my 8x8. And what we're going to do is we are going to use and combine two different stamps. We are going to be using her. Oh, I love her. She's so beautiful. And of course that bohemian arrow. You are so incredibly talented. Don't be silly. It's only me making stuff, you know. It's just, this is my mission in life, is to make pretty things and show people how to make pretty things so they can make pretty things. It's just how it works. It's brilliant, isn't it? So what we're going to do is, I'll turn you around, you can see where I am, can't you then? There we go. You all right? No going away, lovely. So 8x8 piece of cardstock. What I'm going to do is I want to mount off over her, under her shoulders. I don't need this piece of the artwork, so I'm just going to use that piece of scrap card over my base 8x8, and I will use my magnet to hold it down, nice and simple. So now I can pick up this beautiful stamp. I can't think off the top of my head. What is she called? Oh, it's not Heart OK. Oh, I will have a little think about it. I can't remember, but I know it's my Lottie. Yes, definitely. Although her hair is not blonde at the moment. She's gone teal, bless her, which is beautiful, a bit like peacock feather, which is really nice actually. So we're going over the top, and I only need to push down on this top area because this is the only area that I want to stamp. This bit is on scrap, so we really don't need to use that. So here we go. So when I take that scrap away, we've got that perfect line ready to go. So I'm just going to pop her to a side, and we are going to grab that bohemian arrow. Now we have to do this in two different parts because the size of the feather, I don't need all of that. So the first thing I'm going to stamp is just the arrow. Okay, the arrow with the knots just going across the top. So I'm going to pick that up. Make sure you use your magnet to keep into position. Pick that up, and that's going to go there. You can see where I haven't cleaned my stamp that I've got that shadow ink. That's fine. So I'm just going to be adding the bow. This is how you can shorten down these strings, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. So I'm going to stamp the arrow. Don't worry about this bit, because what I can do is just push over that. That's fine. Then I'm going to move this, and I've got my strings there. Can you see that? So now I'm going to hold this piece of scrap paper over the string, so you can see there, and then I'm going to pick this up, and I am going to connect it to the strings that we have there. So don't worry if it's not 100% perfect, just try your best to get it in sort of the right position. If it's not, don't worry, it really doesn't matter. Let's just try. So I'm going to pop that one on now. So clever stamping. This is, now you understand what I was saying. This is how you can combine stamps, change the not the size of the stamp, but what it is you can use partial bits of the stamp and then connect it back together, which is what I'm doing now. So I've got that scrap piece over her head. I've got the little tiny strings. You can see them just at the bottom there. And I'm going to stamp directly over. There we go, just making sure you get right up to that line. There we go. Oh look, that's annoying. Then we will find we have a beautiful piece of combined stamping. So now what I'm going to do is start adding inks on top of this. So very simple, just put your craft sheet on top of your Eureka, and you can still use your magnet to keep it in position. So easy, isn't it? So I'm going to do a bit of painting now. I'm going to do a bit of Himi painting. So I'm just going to grab my palette. Here we go, mucky as usual, and some water. So I'm going to go for my very fine round brush first of all, super quick and simple. You've moved right back, haven't you? There we go. So let's pick up some of this colour. I'm going to start, first things first, get a skin tone in, always. So I'm just going straight into my lightest pink. Not too much of a wet brush. And just start pulling some of this colour around. Go into your water, pick up the pink again. And we are just tracing over that stamp. So again in the pink, it's just to get a wash of skin colour on. This hasn't got any toning. We will come to that in just a second. So let's just get a little bit of colour on her. There we go. Next I'm going to go into my ochre. It's like a mustardy yellow. And I'm just going to start adding a little bit more tonal work. So we'll go around the face line, around the nose, a little bit under the eye, around the eye. Then you're going to use your water, not very wet, but just a little wet, to bring all that colour in. So of course I've used watercolour cardstock, but you can do this with whatever skin tone you prefer. I mean, it really doesn't matter at all. So now I'm just bringing in that ochre again, a little bit of wet. Just take that away from there and then get some light. And there, back into the water. There we go, and almost push that colour down. Just going to bring a little bit further up with the darker tone on this side. This will be my lighter side. So I'll just let that dry for a minute and I'll go on to her hair. So as I was saying, my little Lottie's got teal hair at the moment, so better make teal. So a little bit blue, a little bit green. There we go. And this is quite a dry brush. I always quite like a dry brush on the hairline, just to push that colour away. Because if it's too wet, then you're going to get seepage and it's just going to creep into the all that lovely tonal work you've done already. So now I'm just going to wet my brush, go back into the teal, and it is a lot wetter now. But then if you allow it to dry as you go, you get a lot of highlights that way. So there we go. A bit darker. So now I'm just going to add a bit darker blue into that teal. And we are just going to do almost flicks from the hairline up. Again, go in, and it dries as you go, so just keep applying your colour. Right, so now I'm just going to grab a little bit of ochre, a little tad of pink, and just do her ears, and I'm just going to bring a little touch of that colour down to where her nose comes around, a little bit around there. There we go. So now I'll just use my wet brush. I'm just dragging that colour away. Beautiful. So now I'm just going to grab a little touch of blue on a dry brush. Don't make it wet, because otherwise it will bleed. Do the eyes. Remember, quite a dry brush, because you don't want the lips to just bleed out. Lovely. I'm also going to pick up a little bit of that colour and just add it to the cheeks. Using wet brush, just blend that out. If you can take it right up and round. There you go. But if you're not happy with it, you can always just look, take it off, take that colour off, and then blend again. It's very, very easy. Okay, so it's come down to the feathers now. So I'm thinking hot pink, I'm thinking teal, I'm thinking blue. And what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to do these little beady bits. I'm going to connect. And I'm just going to add a little touch of colour just on the arrowhead and just on them bottom feathers. And you can exaggerate that feather out as well. back into that hot pink. Just rotate your brush and make sure it doesn't sit too much. Now, I didn't have to connect these like I have here because I am popping flowers on here, but it is completely up to you. Now, I've got that pink and I'm just going to use it, very wet brush, to just paint some detail on here. Now I'm going to go into my teal and we are going to pull some of that colour from the edge to the centre. So just like how I was inking before with the distress inks, now we're doing the same sort of thing but using paint. Okay. What I quite like doing is, instead of painting just the lines and keeping it really crisp, just paint over the line slightly. I know it sounds madness, doesn't it? But it does, it works. So from here now, let's have a look where we are. I'm going to go back in that pink and I'm just going to exaggerate some of that colour, just so you haven't got the stagnant lines right in the middle. Very simple. Right, now I need to make a wash. So I'm using my big round brush, go right into my water, and I'm going to probably pick up on some lilac. So I'm just going to get it on first and just going to get some colour on. So you can wet it first if you want, then add your colour, or you can be like me, which you can just go on wet on dry. But what I am doing is I'm bringing that colour round, but I'm not going right up to the image. By leaving that slight white halo, it just emphasises your work and draws your eye in. So again, whether you're using paints, whether you use your inks, whether you just add that little bit of white and it just breaks it down. There we go. So I'm going to dry this off now. Let me just add a tiny bit more water just to that edge there. It's a bit sharp, so I just need to soften that slightly. Perfect. Lovely. Dry this off. Right, now while that's drying, we are going to move on to the base of what that is going to be, which is a canvas. So I've got a 12 by 12 canvas here, super simple. I'm going to go on with my pickled raspberry, straight from ink pad. Go back with the peacock feather, remember, straight from ink pad. I'm going to go over. Now you can spray over the top of this if you want, and then allow the drops and chase all the ink runs, or what you can do is wet it and then go in with your brush. And this creates beautiful panels. That's my green. I'm just going to add a bit of water and get this blending a bit more. Lovely. So now I'm going to spray on top of this, because remember it's an oxide, so I really would like that spray arty effect. And I'm just going to dry this off as quick as I can. It is only watercolour on canvas, so hopefully it should dry pretty quick. So I'm just going to pick it up and allow it to tilt. See, and people say it's so boring, it's like watching paint dry. I love watching paint dry. Funny, isn't it? So funny. Okay, so while that's drying, we can carry on with a little bit of ink work on here. So let's have a look. What have I got? Let's grab my stencils. Again, I'm going to be using the Generation ink. Also, I'm going to grab my brilliant aperture that I use all the time, and I'm not going to put any more ink on. This is just what's left on my door of my blending brush from the teal. And all I'm going to do is just go around the edge almost to create that halo. Very, very simple. Now we're going to start adding some more inks. So let's have a look. I do love that little bit there. So I'm going to bring this across slightly, pick up that pickled raspberry, and I'm going to go straight over the top. This is how you can build up layers. So then this side, I'm going to go right up to that edge. Just add in that bit of colour. Come down here. Now I'm not loading up my brush anymore. This is just what's on my brush. Again, like so. Then I'm just going to do a slight edge of a border. There we go, rotate round. And now I'm just going to grab a different stencil. Let's have a look what I've got here. Honestly, I have oodles of stencils, silly amounts. And I'm going to grab some numbers. Do like a little number. There we go. And I'm going to pick up my teal brush this time. I'm just going to put a little tad on. And I don't want to do the whole thing. I just sort of want to blend the colour away from the centre. Perfect. So now I'm just going to bring a little bit of teal in as well, just here and there, not too much, just to balance out the colour. So if you look at your project, you can balance it out really easy with colour. So it just needs a little bit more teal just to balance it. Can you see that? So I'm just going to pop a little tad down there, like so, and then just a little tad up there. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So now I'm just going to do a little bit of a wet flick with my fan brush, especially over the areas that we have just inked. There we go, dry that off. Right, so while that's drying, let's go back to our 12 by 12 canvas and finish drying this off. And if you want to do the same effect with the fan brush over the top, just a little bit around the edge, and then we'll just dry that off. If you do it in layers, the colours tend to be much more vibrant. So if you dry in between. Now, if you've maybe thought about buying some twinkle spray, something like that, again, available on the stampsbyme website. That will just give it that iridescent effect if you wanted to. This is the thing, when you do large pieces of artwork, it takes a little while to dry. Sorry about this. I got excited. I found a 12 by 12 canvas. I was like, yes! So there we go. And then we'll just finish off drying this off. Okay, we're nearly there now. Beautiful. So now what I'm going to do, I've got an absolute array of embellishments here that are all ready to go. So let's pop our project in the centre. Oh, shall I put it in the centre or offset, I think, to the side? So I'll just use my tape runner. Oh, I actually have got wet glue. Wow, that never happens. Oh, if I can open it. There we go. Tiny tad of wet glue around that edge. And then what I tend to do, before I drop my glue, is just pull it in either with a piece of card or just use your finger. And this will stop your edges curling. I'm going to go in the centre. I wasn't, but now I am. I always change my mind, don't I? It's so ridiculous. Sorry, I have got glue on my fingers. I'm trying not to pop it onto the work. I'm just holding that down. I'm using pinfair glue as well, bookbinding. Let's have a look. Yep. Okay, so now we can start adding more embellishments. So I just want to do a tad of inking on some flowers and the feathers, of course, that I've pre-cut out and stamped, all ready to go. So now I'm just going to grab some of this ink. I'm just going to do the edges. I'm not putting any more ink on either. This is just ink that's left on my doorbell. So again, here we go around. Now we are coming to the very end of the ink on that blender, so I am going to have to reapply. There we go. Tiny bit around the edge. There we go. Now, I know sometimes I tend to have all these things prepped, but I think today I wanted to start with a blank piece of paper and show you how things work, because there is nothing better and more inspiring to create a project from obviously nothing, which I think is what we all love to do. So I'm again just going around that flower, and then we get to decorate. How fun! Now the feathers that I'm not cut into these feathers, and I'll explain exactly why in just a second, but I've just got a few here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to ombre ink. So I'm going to use the pink at the bottom, pretty much take it up to halfway of my sentiment. Then I'm going to grab my peacock feather, and then bring it down. Can you see that? I'm just going to add a tad of colour to these leaves, just a little bit. You really don't need too much, because like I said before, the white, because it is so different, because we've got so much colour on here, it just makes it pop a bit more. Right. Let's have a look where we are. So I'm just going to pop these over here now, come back to my project. Now let's see, what glue have I got over here? Is my heat gun on? No. Brilliant. Okay, so I'll use foam pads. That's fine, absolutely fine. So I've got some craft flowers. Now just cut the stems off the back. So if you don't cut the stems off the back, you really struggle to get them into a position where they can sit prop. Paper roses. Buy these from the craft shop, or you can make your own. And we are just building up that area. Now we'll just pop this one onto here, and you can see how it's starting to take shape. I've also got some other white ones, and what I'm going to do is stagger them slightly but twist them so they're connected like this. Cut that down. I don't need that excessively long wire. Piece of foam on the reverse, and we're going to tuck this in so you won't see this, so don't worry too much. So then we're going to tuck that straight in there like so. Do it again, 2 more, stagger them. Oh, let's do 3 this time, why not? It's lift dangerous. And again, foam pads. Now usually I would use glue to attach all of this, or a hot glue gun, but I want to hold this project up after. I want to show you it, so that is why I'm using foam pads to keep everything together. Okay, so now I've got my sentiment. Again, foam pads on the reverse. Oh, I'm stuck together today. Look at the finger. It's all stuck. Dearie me. Some days, do you get days like that? I always get days like that. Every now and then, everything I touch falls apart, or every adhesive I touch, I just get covered in it. I don't know what happens. I just don't know. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to build up this little flower first of all, because this is going to be my sentiment, which we are going to pop up here. I am also going to be adding in, actually I'll use wet glue, some of these feathers, but I'm not going to use them as feathers. I'm actually going to use them as like foliage. So like leaves. So again, a little bit of wet glue. build it up. Now this flower, I'm going to come down here. I'm going to start adding some paper flowers as well into that little bouquet around her neck, because then this will just tie everything in. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, it goes there. I've got a smaller one. Add that one. Then this little one here. So can you see the way it flows? Now I've got another one of those beautiful florals again. These are by Pretty Penny. Absolutely gorgeous. And I've got a bigger one that I'm just going to place down here, so you can just see the placing. It's very, very easy. A little bit of glue. There we go. Come on, you. There we go. And use them feathers as your foliage. There we go. I've got my sentiment now, and this is going to go across all layers, so it goes over the flowers and onto the actual canvas as well. I've got a final floral here that I'm just going to tuck behind there slightly. Then I'm going to pick up again those beautiful flowers that we used previously, and I'm just going to incorporate a few, so you can just make like little bouquets of your own. So if you wrap it around the stalk before you cut it, cut the stalk, then foam pad. I use quite big foam pads because then that just encapsulates all of that. Now that can go just there. Beautiful. Then down here, final flowers. Coming together. Again, wrap it around the stalk and then cut the stalk down to size. Foam pad on the reverse so it all just marries together beautifully. Pick that up, and again we just offset it in between those florals. I've got a few beautiful iridescent gems here. I'm just adding a couple. These are all very different sizes, which is brilliant because then you can really mix and match. A couple of randoms. There we go. And I think I'm about done. There we go. Right, how are we doing, friends? That's so beautiful. Love the gorgeous colours. Thank you. Right, okay, right, ready? Do you want to have a look? Thanks for sticking with me. I know it takes a while, but I really wanted to show you from a blank piece of paper where we go. So here we go. We've got a 12 by 12 canvas using that absolutely exquisite, is smashing, thank you, bohemian arrow, and of course just added in a few little twinkles. So simple. You can't see it in focus, or is it just me? Don't worry, sweetheart, because what I'll do is I'll take close-up pics of all of them and I will post it on straight after. If you would really like to win either of the projects that I've made today, so either the canvas or the card, just let me know. Pop it in your post, and then of course it's not everyone's day. Who's not here? Oh dear, you love the giraffe. I do love the giraffe. Okay, my beautiful artisans, you take care of yourself and I will see you next week. I hope you feel inspired. Go away, create something amazing and then share it with me. I would love that. Thank you so much, my beautiful artisans. You take care of yourself and each other, and I will see you next Wednesday. See you later. Bye.